Senators Richard Blumenthal and Marsha Blackburn are vowing to hold Facebook accountable for the impact the company is having on its young users around the world. The senators are promising to take action against the social media giant. This comes days after the Wall Street Journal released findings from an independent investigation into the company. The report reveals how Facebook allegedly conducted a series of internal investigations into Instagram's impact on teenage mental health. The findings reportedly show the social media giant not only knew about some of the issues being reported by users, especially teenage girls, but it played these issues down in the public as well. Joining us now is Deepa Seetharaman. She is the co-author of that article and a tech reporter at the Wall Street Journal. Deepa, welcome. Great to have you with us. So Instagram's research reveals that there are many struggling teenagers who want to spend less time on the app. What makes it so hard for them to step away from Instagram?
Well, there's a social element to it. They don't want to miss out. They also feel like, in order to participate in society, you have to be on social media. It's a little bit like it's just like being in high school. You want to be. I mean, they are in high school. You want to know. You don't want to miss out on anything. And so, as a result, they feel like they need to continue to check in, even when they know themselves that it's having a detrimental impact on their mental health.
And so Facebook apparently found that so-called social comparisons aren't common across all social media platforms. It's particular to Instagram. So what exactly does this mean, and why does it seem to only pertain to that specific app?
Well, one of the analysis, there are a lot of social media apps out there, right? There's TikTok, there's Snapchat, and there's Instagram, and all of these are popular among teens. But what's different about Instagram is the way that the way that you become popular on Instagram and the kind of image that particular platform rewards. There's a line in one of the many research presentations that we've reviewed that shows Snapchat is about the face and Instagram is about the body. And so there's a feeling that Instagram rewards sort of perfect looking, completely just very fit and very a certain look. And a lot of teens are struggling to match that. And that emphasis on the body is particular to Instagram. And that's something that these researchers internally at the company are trying to understand and solve, to some extent.
And so how is Facebook justifying then the impact Instagram is having on teenagers? Did the company respond to your reporting on this at all? And what is the company doing to address the mental health issues its app is having on a portion of its users?
Right. So Instagram has a couple of different responses to our reporting. First, they point out that this research is happening at all. That they've hired people to do this kind of research and to stress test the platform and to understand, where it might be failing and where it might be thriving. And I think, that's something that's true. You don't see this depth of research necessarily from other companies that are in the same space. And so they think they deserve credit for exploring this problem at all. But then, the company is also trying to find ways to, in their words, embrace their responsibilities more broadly and tweak product in some cases to address some of these concerns, especially around this issue of social comparison. One of the things that they tried to do was something that we write about called Project Daisy, which is where Instagram would offer a version of the service that removed likes. But what they were trying to do is by removing likes, then, you reduce that competitive element on the platform. Not everybody needs to worry whether or not their pictures were liked to the extent of their friends, and that level of social comparison is reduced. But what their research also found internally was that this didn't really work. It didn't help the teens that were having a really hard time on Instagram. It didn't reduce their symptoms, but the company rolled it out anyway as an option because, in their words, it was a good PR win. And so there's this tension within the company between wanting to actually understand what the platform's doing, and there are a group of people that are working really hard to try to bring these issues to light and to try to encourage management to change the product or address them. And then there's another group of people at the company that are hesitant to change the status quo, especially when the status quo is proven to be so popular and lucrative.
Interesting, and that tension, it almost sometimes reveals itself in the company positioning itself almost as if it wants to fix the problem, like in this situation with getting rid of the likes, so that from a PR perspective, they get points, but not really fixing the problem. And, Facebook has historically avoided discussing its own negative research in the past. The tech giant generally cites its more positive research, like that from the Oxford Internet Institute. How has the company avoided sharing its own information, especially if it points out areas that need improvement or that are having negative impacts on its users? How has it avoided sharing that information in the past?
I think they've been asked a lot by lawmakers, especially this year with their plans to launch an Instagram for kids, so under 13. Once BuzzFeed broke that story earlier this year that showed that this was a plan of Instagram, there were a lot of questions from lawmakers. Okay, tell us, what exactly your plans are and why you're doing this, and do you have research internally that shows what the impact of Instagram is on teens? Now, it's probably important to say here that, this isn't necessarily all teens. What the research shows, though, that for particularly vulnerable teens, the company services have a really big and problematic impact. We're talking about 1 in 3 teens relating body image issues to Instagram. A large number of teens, viewing the site as a reason for their depression and anxiety. And it's not everybody, but it's a really large portion of the platform's users. And so, lawmakers have asked the company this question. They said, okay, what does your internal research say? What does the research say about the effect of your service and your app on teens? And in response, the company has provided other research, external research, and hasn't provided their own internal research, which is a little strange. And so that's why this week we've seen, we've seen lawmakers come out and say, okay, we're going to need to see that internal research. Senators Blumenthal and Blackburn said that they are in touch with a Facebook whistleblower and that they will be seeking more and more documents, internal documents, and trying to do more interviews to understand the scope of the problem, because they feel like there's more research that Instagram is hiding.
Interesting. I would argue that it isn't just teens that struggle with some of these issues you're pointing out. Adults too, but I guess adults are a different matter. Deepa Seetharaman of the Wall Street Journal, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your reporting. I do have to mention that we did reach out to Facebook, but have not yet heard back.